15 अगस्त 2021, वो दिन जब अफगानिस्तान पर तालिबान नाम का ग्रहण लग गया। काबुल पर काबिज हुए तालिबान को 12 दिन हो चुके हैं और तालिबान के राज में पिछले कुछ दिनों में जो कुछ भी हुआ उससे पूरी दुनिया वाकिफ है। तालिबानियों के औरतों को हक देने की बात आज उतनी ही खोखली लगती है जितनी अफगानिस्तान में तालिबान की शांति कायम करने की कोशिशें। पहली प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में औरतों के हक की बात करने वाला तालिबान बच्चियों और विधवा औरतों की लिस्ट मंगाता है ताकि उनकी शादी तालिबानियों से करा सके। तालिबान के प्रवक्ता ने मंगलवार को सुरक्षा हालातों का हवाला देकर अफगान की गवर्नमेंट विमेन वर्कर्स को घर पर ही रुकने का आदेश दिया है। मुजाहिद का कहना है कि जब तक अफगानिस्तान में हालात सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से सही नहीं हो जाते, सरकारी नौकरी करने वाली औरतें घर पर ही रहें। औरतों के हक की बात करें तो तालिबान ने शरिया कानून के नाम पर औरतों पर कई तरह की रोक लगा दी है। स्कूल जाने की रोक, बिना किसी पुरुष के साथ हुए घर से बाहर निकलने की रोक और शरीर को सर से पैर तक ढकने का नियम भी लागू कर दिया गया है। लेकिन समस्या सिर्फ महिलाओं या बच्चों के लिए ही नहीं है। काबुल एयरपोर्ट के बाहर हजारों लोग इस इंतजार में हैं कि कब उन्हें इस मुल्क से बाहर जाने का रास्ता मिले। पूरे अफगानिस्तान से ऐसी तस्वीरें सामने आ रही हैं जहां लोगों के पास खाने पीने तक की सुविधा नहीं है। लोगों को न शिक्षा मिल रही है, न इलाज, न सुरक्षा। पहले से ही इतनी हिंसा झेल रहे मुल्क में अब एक बड़ा बम धमाका आने वाले दिनों के और मुश्किल होने की सूचना दे रहा है। ऐसे में आज हमारी चर्चा का विषय है कि क्या पूरी दुनिया यूं ही बैठकर अफगानिस्तान का तमाशा देखती रहेगी और वहां के लोगों को रोता बिलखता देखकर अफसोस मनाती रहेगी, या हम सब मिलकर उन लोगों की किसी न किसी तरह से मदद कर सकते हैं। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय और राष्ट्रीय कोशिशें एक तरफ, लेकिन आप और हम कैसे इंसानियत निभा सकते हैं, उसकी मिसाल है कुछ लोग और संगठन, जैसे डॉक्टर्स विदाउट बॉर्डर्स, जो वहां जाकर लोगों को मेडिकल सेवाएं दे रहे हैं। हम आपको बता दें कि डॉक्टर्स विदाउट बॉर्डर्स पिछले 50 साल से बाढ़, भूकंप, महामारी और युद्ध से पीड़ित लोगों को अपनी सेवाएं दे रहा है। वहीं काबुल का एहसास नाम का एनजीओ पीड़ित लोगों को फूड पैकेट्स और मेडिकल सुविधाएं देकर अपना इंसानी फर्ज अदा कर रहा है। ऐसे और कई संगठन हैं जिन्हें अपना काम जारी रखने के लिए दुनिया की, हमारी आपकी मदद की जरूरत है। क्या हम कुछ कर सकते हैं? सोचिए और अपनी राय हमें कमेंट बॉक्स में लिखकर जरूर भेजिए।
नमस्कार, आप हैं रिचा के साथ। मैं हूं रिचा अनिरुद्ध और पूरी दुनिया की नजरें टिकी हैं अफगानिस्तान के हालातों पर और हर दिन दिल दहलाने वाली तस्वीरें अफगानिस्तान से हमारे पास आ रही हैं, हमारे सामने। और कई बार ऐसा लगता है कि मतलब मेरे मुंह से कई बार निकलता है उफ, मतलब इससे बुरा और अब क्या होगा। अगर सिर्फ हम एक इंसान होकर सोचें तो वाकई वहाँ के लोग हैं, उनकी जो चीखें हैं वो बहुत परेशान कर रही हैं, विचलित कर रही हैं वहाँ की तस्वीरें। लेकिन सवाल ये भी उठता है कि इस सारे शोरगुल के पीछे जो हमने सवाल उठाया है कि क्या हम और आप कुछ कर सकते हैं। कई बार मन में ख्याल आता है कि क्या कोई भी तरीका हो सकता है जिससे हम एज एन इंडिविजुअल हम अफगानिस्तान के लोगों के काम आ सकें। वहां पर जो दुर्दशा उनकी हो रही है, क्या हम उनका दुख किसी तरह से बांट सकते हैं या कम कर सकते हैं। इस पर हम चर्चा करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कुछ रास्ते निकालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। नहीं जानती, आज सही मायनों में कहूँ तो नहीं जानती कि हम कितना कामयाब होंगे इसमें, लेकिन मैं आपकी मुलाकात कुछ खास मेहमानों से कराऊंगी जिनकी संस्थाएं या संगठन काम कर रहे हैं अफगानिस्तान में, लोगों की मदद करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और वो क्या क्या कर रहे हैं ये हम उनसे जानेंगे, किस तरह की उनको परेशानियों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है ये हम उनसे जानेंगे। मेरे साथ जुड़ रही हैं महबूबा सिराज जी, काबुल से एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर है अफगान विमेन स्किल्स डेवलपमेंट सेंटर की। आपको याद होगा 1-2 हफ्ते पहले भी ये हमारे साथ शो पर जुड़ी थी और उन्होंने वहाँ के हालात के बारे में हमें बताया था। हमारे साथ हामिद वफा जुड़ रहे हैं जो कि हेड है इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस एहसास संगठन के बारे में अभी हमने बताया कि ये जो संस्था है ये वहाँ पर फूड पैकेट्स और मेडिकल एड वहाँ के जरूरतमंद लोगों में बांट रही है। हमारे साथ जुड़ रही है डॉक्टर फरहत मंटू जो कि जनरल डायरेक्टर है MSF इंडिया की। MSF मेडिसिन सॉन्स फ्रंटियर या हम कहें डॉक्टर्स विदाउट बॉर्डर्स ये एक इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, ह्यूमैनिटेरियन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। दुनिया भर में जहां भी ऐसे लोग होते हैं, पीड़ित लोग जिन्हें मेडिकल हेल्प की जरूरत होती है, तो इनकी टीम वहां जाकर काम करती है। और साथ ही हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं शक्ति सिन्हा जी, रिटायर्ड IAS अधिकारी हैं, लेकिन ये इस समय डायरेक्टर हैं अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ पॉलिसी रिसर्च एंड इंटरनेशनल स्टडीज के, और ये 3-4 साल UN मिशन में अफगानिस्तान में रह भी चुके हैं, तो अफगानिस्तान के हालातों को बहुत करीब से ये समझते हैं। I would like to welcome all of you. First of all, I would like to come to you, Mahbouba Seraj ji. Last time you shared a lot of information about what's happening in Afghanistan. Now I would like to know more about the organization that you head, and what are you doing right now to help the other Afghan women?
I wish you would have asked the questions from the other people first before asking me, because I honestly. At the moment, apart from continuing the work that I have, which is, to look after the ladies that they are with me, and also because of the temporary houses that I have that, houses people that have come, the displaced people that have come from the provinces. I'm not doing anything else because right now in Afghanistan, there is no monetary exchange, anything. Banks are closed. So there is nothing we can do. We are actually living in Afghanistan right now with the food that we are eating here, or in my organization, the ones that I'm looking after. We're all living on borrowed money and on borrowed supplies. And those supplies that we are borrowing are, everything that we need for cooking, the vegetables that we get from the stores, because we don't have anymore a single penny to give to anybody for anything. There is no more money. It's been 2 weeks that we as organizations, we never had a whole lot of cash in our offices because our money is at the bank, and whenever we need it for whatever we need to do as far as on the ground work, we go to the bank and we get our money and it's spent it.
Yeah.
So now the money, and the way it happened, we couldn't even get more money for the times that we knew there's a trouble. We couldn't, because the banks, they went, the day when I went to the bank, it was not, the Taliban were not here, it was a day before, but already the banks had closed. So we are really in a very bad place right now. And if this continues, honestly, not only going to really be extremely dangerous for Afghanistan, for the government, and for the Taliban, whoever the government is going to be dangerous. It's going to be dangerous for everybody. First of all, the world, when they're sending their help, where this help is going right now, and they can't send the money to the bank because there is no banks. So if people are getting money, what are they going to do? So now there's going to be a time for a lot of taking advantage of the situation of Afghanistan. That a whole lot of people and a whole lot of other people, outside people, they all are going to take advantage of it. And what really scares me is that when the doors open and everything starts becoming a quote unquote normal, then I hope that we have the support. I hope that we have the money, and I hope that we have the supply to be able to help our people. Because this is just the beginning of a huge, uncertain, unclear era in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So,
and probably a humanitarian crisis.
Absolutely. What happened yesterday at the airport, and the fact that there are all of these people that they're being rushed to the hospitals, and the way that everybody has left this country, I cannot tell you my worry. Who is going to be looking after these people? Do we have the nurses that we need? Do we have the medicine that we need? Do we have the doctors that we need? Do we have the oxygen that we need? Do we have the very basic supplies, the bandages, the everything? I don't know if we do or we don't. So these are the types of things, and there's quite a lot of people that they are injured. And God forbid, anything like this, I don't know where we are, because this whole thing was done by another group, apparently, not the Taliban. So then Afghanistan is entering another war area, apparently. So
very, very dangerous. Yeah.
where are we? Where are we? And as far as the help is concerned, my people or people that I know all over the world are asking me, Mahbouba, do you need help? I say, yes, of course I will need help. But if the banks are not open, and if I don't know exactly how much for what and when and how, I cannot be sharing anything with you. So please, if you're sending me any money, don't. Right now, hold on to it. But have it in our name, keep it somewhere until we're open so I can ask you to send it. But right now, I really, this is another worry that I don't know what will be happening to all of us.
तो मैं अपने व्यूअर्स को बता दूं, महबूबा जी ये कह रही हैं कि हमें जरूरत तो है, पैसों की भी जरूरत है, सामान की जरूरत है, बहुत सारे काम मांग कर चीजें चला रहे हैं, लेकिन बैंक्स बंद हैं। तो अगर मैं आपसे कहूं भी कि हमारी मदद कीजिए, तो आप कैसे मदद कर पाएंगे? तो आप शायद हमारे नाम की कोई मदद अगर आपके मन में है तो उसको अलग रखिए, और इंतजार करना होगा बैंक के खुलने का जब कोई ट्रांजैक्शन हो सकता है। हामिद, महबूबा जी हैज रेज्ड अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. What everything could be in short supply. Can you share with us what all work Ehsaas is doing? What are the kind of shortage you're facing? What is the state of the common people in Afghanistan?
Right. I hope you hear me clearly because the signal is not very good.
Yes.
So our organization established 10 years ago, and we provide at the moment, ever since we came to existence, provide education, aid, food, access to clean water, and medical health help as well. So this is all, it's funded by the Afghans, by our members, and the Afghans who are living abroad. So the recent fighting, as Mahbouba Naji made it clear, displaced millions of Afghans internally, and a few millions also were forced to leave Afghanistan, going into countries such as Pakistan, in Iran. So a lot of thousands and thousands of families left other parts of Afghanistan and came into Kabul in order to seek a safe place for their families and for their children to live. And all of those people, almost everyone, they left their belongings behind. They just came to Kabul with their clothes. They didn't have a place to live. They didn't have food. They didn't have medication. They didn't have any access to health service. Well, the country was in a state of war between Taliban and the foreign government. At the moment, we're doing our best and collecting donations within Afghanistan and from Afghans and our partners internationally, and providing these people safer tents, food, medication, and access to health, because as I said, they just left their homes, their businesses, their shops, and they made it to Kabul with bare clothes, nothing else. They left everything behind, and they need help immediately, urgently.
Yeah. But Hamid, what is the state of the hospitals right now, or grocery stores? Are you able to source food and medicines for the people who are in need, or is it difficult?
Mahbouba made it clear we are living in a very uncertain environment at the moment. We don't have a government in place, and a lot of people are very reluctant to live their life normally. There are places open, but some people are taking their time and they want to know what's going to happen next, who will be in charge. For our organization, restrictions in our operations, but a great amount of restrictions, and we don't know what the future holds in the new government, what kind of restriction under we need to operate. And when there is a new government, there will be new rules, I know that, but we just don't know. It's hard. The banks are shut. People cannot access their money. The banks are closed. The people are not going to their businesses. They're not opening their businesses as usual, what it used to be before the Taliban. People are a bit scared, and they don't know what the future holds, tomorrow holds.
Okay. Dr. Farhat Mantoo, I would like to bring you in at this point. Medical need is something very important and very urgent. So I would really like to know, what is Doctors Without Borders as a team doing in Afghanistan right now? Where all are you working? What kind of support are you providing?
MSF, also known as Doctors Without Borders, we have been in Afghanistan since 1980s. With a very short absence in the year 2004, we have been there from that day till today. And our teams continue to work today in 5 provinces around Afghanistan. And the provinces are Herat, Kunduz, Khost, Helmand, and Kandahar. Like my two panelists already illustrated and indicated, the situation in the country is very, very fluid. And the health system is in a limbo, with also realizing that just in this week we had World Bank, International Monetary Fund halting aid, which has an impact on the health structure of the country. But I'm going to spell out what our teams are witnessing on the ground. So if you talk about the different areas of health that we look and take care of in Afghanistan are, we have had maternal and child health care, from emergency obstetrics to helping women deliver babies, to neonatal care, to looking at malnourished children, to looking at drug-resistant tuberculosis, non-communicable disease. We also, during the third wave, had opened up a COVID treatment center. And in the days leading to the transition, we had our facilities where the number of patients that were seeking access to health have gone down a bit. But since in the 5 locations we are, and a bit of peace or calm is there as we talk, our teams are overloaded with patients. So if you talk, let me give you an example about Helmand, Lashkargah. Our hospital there is usually it's a 300-bedded hospital, so you would have say between 300 to 400 patients. Only yesterday I was hearing from the teams there that we had more than 870 patients coming and visiting our emergency room. At the same time, on a daily basis, we are seeing between 50 to 70 deliveries in the hospital that we are treating. So the good part is that we do have our staff on the ground, and they are able to come to work as we talk. And as the situation is kind of changing by the day, so our teams are evaluating the situation as we go on.
Okay, so it is a very, very complicated situation right now. Shakti Sinha ji, I would like to bring you in here. It's a huge humanitarian crisis. I think probably more than what we can even imagine. What should be the role of the international community right now? And when I say community, it means each one of us. क्या करें हम लोग वहाँ के लोगों के लिए?
आपको जवाब हिंदी में दोगे इंग्लिश में?
सर बाइलिंगुअल कर देते हैं तो वो लोग भी समझ लेंगे थोड़ा.
ठीक है. सबसे पहले तो आप एकदम सही कहा, ह्यूमैनिटेरियन क्राइसिस है, बहुत बड़ी क्राइसिस है. हम सब अपने बारे में सोच रहे हैं, ये नहीं समझ रहे हैं कि 10,000 लाखों लोग तो एयरपोर्ट क्यों पहुंच रहे हैं, क्योंकि घबराए हुए निकलना चाह रहे, परेशान हैं. कोई प्लेन के बाहर रखता नहीं अगर बहुत ज़्यादा परेशान ना हो. ये हमें समझना चाहिए. डायरेक्टली हेल्प करना, एज मोहम्मद जी राइटली सेड, इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट because the banking channels are shut down. But slowly, as the world functions, as you know, the Hawala route will start opening up again. And I asked some people in England how they intend to send money to Afghanistan. उन्होंने कहा we'll use the Hawala route. तो वो सोच रहे हैं. But this is the reality of life. नई बात नहीं है. Throughout the Taliban period भी ऐसे ही चल रहा था. So let us be clear, ये होता है. It's a sad situation, but you can't let people starve only because your legal systems are not in place. दूसरी, and I would take a slightly political angle to it, इसलिए कि नहीं तो हम लोग इंडिविजुअली कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे. आप एक आदमी को खाना दे दीजिएगा, 2 को दे दीजिएगा, सिचुएशन नहीं बदलती है. आज का जो तालिबान है, नौजवान तालिबान है, अंडर 20 है, engaged with the world. आज का जो सरकार बनेगी, whichever government is formed in however form it formed, cannot be like the Taliban government of the 90s. उस समय की तालिबान दुनिया से अपना रिश्ता तोड़ के रखती थी, आज नहीं तोड़ पाएगी. अच्छा, आज अफगानिस्तान गवर्नमेंट के पास पैसा नहीं है, उनके फॉरेन एक्सचेंज एसेट्स आर विद द फेडरल रिजर्व. इन अमेरिका दे आर फ्रोजन. वर्ल्ड बैंक IMF मनी इज बीइंग फ्रोजन, सो देयर विल बी नो मनी कमिंग इनटू अफगानिस्तान. अगर अफगानिस्तान गवर्नमेंट हैज टू फंक्शन, एंड अफगानिस्तान डज नॉट कलेक्ट इनफ रेवेन्यूज फॉर ऑल द फंक्शंस, उतना ही रेवेन्यू ले पाता है तनख्वाह देने के लिए, बट डेवलपमेंट काम और सिक्योरिटी काम के लिए पैसा उनको अमेरिका से मिलता था या इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी से मिलता था, दोनों से मिलता था काफ़ी ज़्यादा पैसा. अब वो नहीं मिलेगा. इसलिए अब इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी के पास एक बहुत बड़ा लीवरेज है और इनकमिंग गवर्नमेंट. इफ़ यू डोंट अलाउ द सिचुएशन टू इम्प्रूव, इफ़ यू ब्लॉक पीपल फ्रॉम लीडिंग नॉर्मल लाइव्स, दुकानें खुलें, नौकरी लोग जाएँ, money comes into schools and the healthcare system functions properly, तब तक we will not release any funds to the government of Afghanistan till it allows the humanitarian concerns to be addressed. So international community has a leverage in its hand, जो उसको छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए. साइड बाय साइड अगेन मैं ज़्यादा पॉलिटिक्स नहीं बोलना चाहता हूँ, मगर तालिबान के पीछे अगर पाकिस्तान है तो पाकिस्तान को भी अभी यूएसए की सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत है. आईएमएफ के साथ उनके अगेंस्ट सेमी सैंक्शंस लगे हुए अंडर द फाइनेंशियल एक्शन टास्क फोर्स फैटअप. वो सब लीवरेज है आपके पास जो आपको इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए in the interest of the people of Afghanistan, not to influence the politics. I am not getting into how should the political setup be of Afghanistan. Keep that aside for a moment. But at least the ability of the international community to leverage Afghanistan government's need for financial help, for access to even the money of the Afghan government itself is important and must be used in favor of the people of Afghanistan. तो हम सबको अपनी सरकारों पर मीडिया के थ्रू जो आप कर रही हैं आज बहुत अच्छी सराहनीय बात है, इस तरह के हमें एक मोमेंटम बिल्डअप करना है to put pressure on governments across the world that this has to be done. Number one, let the political issues be separated separately. Let them sort it out. I have my own views on that. I'll leave it at that. This leverage has to be used. Otherwise, we cannot let people down. We simply cannot. As she described, Hamid described that you're out of money, out of food, out of medicines. और जैसे अभी Hamid जी ने कहा, yeah, medicines often there. I mean, these institutions have to work.
Exactly. Sir, I'm sure you're in touch with a lot of friends in Afghanistan. You have a lot of friends there.
Get out. Yeah. All wanting to get out, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yes. All wanting to just get out, or do they need something else?
No, basically, how do I get out? How do I get my family out? I'm outside, my family is there. I'm here with my family. Or family is out, I'm stuck here working. There are lots and lots of they're real human issues. You know?
But everybody can't get out, sir. So how will they survive?
No, obviously they can't get out. Therefore, I'm saying we must create circumstances for normal life to go on in these matters while the siyasi baat is done separately. You know, you must use this leverage. Otherwise, the people will be badly let down and the political leaders will sort out their own problems. That you have to prevent. Yahi mera point.
Mahbouba ji, Shakti sir said a very important point that this Taliban is a younger Taliban and more open to the world, conversations with the world and press conference.
Can I just interrupt you? Richa,
yes, sir.
When I say younger to the world, different does not mean that they believe in good things of life. It is just that they use their need to engage with the world to put pressure on them. Let me be very clear on that.
And then know how to use the social media or probably create a perception, a better image of themselves. But Mahbouba ji, do you really see do you as a woman in Afghanistan, do you see any change in last 15 days, 12 days?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any change because, very, very simply, it's not because that they might not have changed a little bit or more willing. I don't know. Maybe they are, but they haven't had the chance, nor that kind of interaction has been happening. So I can't say, they are the whole in this city, the whole concentration right now has always been. I mean, it's until yesterday when the huge explosion happened, the whole concentration has been on the people trying to leave the city. Number one, and the whole problems at the airport. That was number one. Number two was the fact that, all of these people are leaving. Oh, and the fact that we don't have a government and all of these Taliban are talking, which I really don't know whom they're talking to, but they're talking. I wish I could find out who are the people that they're sitting around and talking and what is it that they're talking about. And but they're talking, and all of this talk hasn't really got them anywhere. And our situation is getting every day as the time goes by, is getting more and more and more urgent and more dangerous. Because now, as you're aware, now other issues are entering at the war side of it, at the fighting side of it, all of that. It's the ISIS that's starting to enter. So what is that all about? So this is new. Now how is this going to affect everything? We don't know. And all of this is making it, instead of making it better is making it, of course, more complicated. And at the same time, because these people don't know how to decide, how to get a grip, or how to form a interim government, or whatever it is, again, and that is going to also is putting us in a much worse situation. So because with all of these movements, with all of these things that are happening, the humanitarian need is going to become, again, that too is going to become worse and worse every day. And the fact that we cannot help them right away, that's also another reality of life on the ground here. So yes, so that's where we really are.
And you're not able to leave your house without covering your body head to toe and without being accompanied by a man?
No, I honestly, I wouldn't dare do that, because that's going to be a provocation that I'm really, not that my age, I don't think anybody's going to get provoked, but it is a provocation, and I don't suggest it to anyone doing that. None of the girls, none of the women, my girls, nobody gets out of the house without the proper hijab, their head covered, their long coat is on, and everything. Because I don't want us to go to the burqa era again. Because I want our faces to be able, so we can see. We don't have to wear that bloody burqa over our faces. And if the people are not careful wearing proper, attire to go outside, that will be enforced. The burqa will be enforced, and that will be the death of the Afghan woman, definitely. I hate those burqas. So yeah, so this is. We all have to be careful, but that's not important. You see, that is really the least of my concern at this point, truly, because doesn't make any difference. We just cover ourselves and we go outside. So big deal. There's nothing wrong with that. But everything else concerns me. Everything else, the fact that there is no government, the fact that there is no banks, the fact that the offices are not open, the fact that the women are not. The schools are closed, the fact that the women are not working. These are all of the other things that are happening that is really concerning me. And of course, in the different small pockets, of course, there are things happening. Like, for example, getting people out of their houses, looking for them, putting them, taking people out of their houses and imprisoning them or making them disappear. But at the same time, the Taliban are sending all of these numbers, that if there is such a situation like that somebody wants to enter your house by force, you have to let us know. And that is at least a little bit of a how shall I say? I hope I never have to practice it, but at least it's something good to know that there is that possibility that you can call and say somebody by force is coming, want to open my door, or wants to enter, and that's not allowed by the Taliban. But then again, with the Taliban, they don't know what is allowed, what is not allowed. There are a lot of situations.
There's no government in place, so we really don't know who's ruling. Probably.
Exactly, who's ruling,
who's responsible.
Exactly, and this is, there are so many things that are horrible. But I never lived in a place that there was no government in it, and I see how distressful that really is. It's horrible.
We can understand, ma'am. Yeah, Hamid, I want to ask you, in all the kind of work you and your organization Ehsaas are doing, are you facing any kind of trouble from the Taliban side? Are you being threatened or anything like that is happening, or are you able to at least work and supply the food and medicines, whatever people need? Hamid, you're on mute. Hamid, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, yeah.
Right, because we haven't faced, because we haven't got a government, and Taliban is trying to introduce a government which is acceptable to the international community, because they're scared if the international community doesn't accept them, there will be sanctions, because they cannot run this country without an economy, a relationship with its neighbors in the broader international community. But our organization at the moment, because we haven't got a government, we haven't faced any threat at the moment. There are some areas that we are very careful when we operate, but because our organization provides education for both men and women, and we run schools for girls in different parts of the country. Well, if there is a restrictions on women's education, women going to schools or universities, then we might change the way we operate. There might be risks the way we are operating at the moment. We may need to change that. So at the moment, they are saying that there is no restrictions for women to go. In fact, it was today or yesterday they announced that universities can reopen and they can operate. And at the moment, they have told all the government women, the women staff from the previous government to stay at home for further notice. They're not. So we because we haven't got a government, we don't know until they announce the government and how they're going to run that government. We don't know what the restriction will be for our organization, women and product.
But an organization needs money to be able to operate, and when you have to provide so much of stuff to common people, and banks being closed, are you also facing that crisis right now, the financial crisis?
That's absolutely right. Our international donors, the Afghans who live in other people from other countries who help us, who send money by Western Union or MoneyGram or banks. The banks are not operating. I think the sanctions on the central bank by the American government that has stopped the inflow of cash to the banks. In part, people cannot withdraw money. Even we can withdraw that we have already got to, supply people with aid. So that's the difficulty. We are facing financial difficulties. People do want to help, but at the moment, that money is not getting through to us.
The same question is to you, Dr. Farhat Mantoo. Are the operations suffering? Is the work suffering because there's no money and the banks are closed? And secondly, are you being, is there any kind of trouble from the Taliban side to your team?
Okay, so maybe answering the second question first for you. So if you want to ask me at the time being, are female staff able to come to work? For the time being, yes, they are able to come to work. Because most of our medical activities, like let me give you an example of the hospital in Khost. It's a hospital that mainly caters to women and children. So it's a largely woman-run center meant for women. So it's around, just to give you an idea of volume, we're talking about 1,500 deliveries a month. It's a massive facility that's being managed, and we need women to take care of maternity and pediatrics kind of aspects of our medical care in the country. So at the province level, we have had assurances from the new authorities that we are allowed to work and our staff is allowed to come to work. So from that perspective, our work continues. And it is, again, the situation is very fluid, so we evaluate it by the day. On your first question and I actually want to zoom out a bit. So I think we are among the few lucky ones in this case that we just had a massive supply cargo coming in just before the whole situation evolved in Afghanistan. So what I can say is that we have supplies, but for a few weeks. And that would mean that we will have to find solutions to keep our programs running. And it's not, and it's not only about do we have supplies and money. It's also about what is the gap that is being left behind because of halt on aid, because of some organizations stopping to work, because of say the shortage and breakdown of the health structure. So where would the Afghans go and seek medical help? A large internally displaced population in hundreds and thousands. So it's not just about the medicine, equipment, human resources, trained human resources that is going to be a challenge, but it's also other elements that we are slowly factoring in our conversations because we want to keep our focus. We want to be in these 5 provinces, but our teams are also massively overloaded. Looking at the number of patients we are seeing on a daily basis and some of the activities. And then one of the, I would say, major concern we have as a medical organization is it looks like the third wave of COVID is almost kind of towards its tail in Afghanistan. But what about the fourth wave? What are the contingencies? What is the preparation of the country? What is going to happen on the vaccination front? So there's so many things if we look at health as such in Afghanistan that are our points of concern at this point of time. And as a neutral medical humanitarian organization, we are trying to be seeking permissions, trying to get in touch with anyone and everyone who can facilitate our access to our patients at this point of time.
Okay. Shakti Sinha, sir, you've been with the UN, you've been with the World Bank, and you've also been with the Prime Minister office in India long back when Atalji was in power. This crisis, this financial crisis, you know, when we're talking about World Bank and all, ये कितना खिंचेगा, क्या होगा, what is the trouble? And दूसरा, you know, can the governments of other countries not, you know, decide to send aid to Afghanistan, if not money, aid, food, medicines, whatever. So next 15 days, how do you see this whole situation evolving?
Well, I don't see situation changing in a matter of days. It takes longer. First, legally, talk about governments you're talking about. Legally, there is one constitution in Afghanistan which has not been abrogated. This is the 2003 constitution, right? So right now, there is no other legal foundation of government. As and when a new government, a new setup comes into place, creates a legal foundation to that government. Only then can formal governments officially interact. Today, can I talk to the president of Afghanistan or the finance minister? Now, there is somebody occupying the chair in the finance ministry, I'm aware of it, but that is not a formal arrangement. So as far as the legality is concerned, which is why banks are frozen, international flow, I don't see why national money can't flow. As far as transactions Afghani is concerned, absolutely the banks can function. The dollar resources they have no access to, that will obviously have, unless these are sorted out, which is why, as I said, this is where the international community has a leverage. Whoever is now forming a new legal structure, if you're replacing the Islamic Republic with an Islamic Emirate, then you have to create a legal foundation for that. बुनियादी वो जब तक नहीं बदलेगा, how will you interact with whom are you interacting, right? So that is and as far as sending things are concerned, now the civilian side of the airport is completely damaged. Tens of thousands of people who are there. It's been ransacked. The military side, they across the runway. The Americans are handling it. That's where the flights are coming in and out. That will end in a few days' time. It will not go beyond the 31st, as per President. In which case, till and Afghanistan, the Taliban have reached out to the Turkey that we don't want your military men, but we want your civilian help to re-establish the airport. So unless you re-establish the airport, any aid sent by road from Karachi port to reach Khost, to reach Herat, to reach Kunduz will take some time because right now the roads are not completely open. So, this is not going to be an easy crisis to solve. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible that people will be suffering. But I think the world must wake up, therefore, and really put pressure to ensure that at least the minimum requirements of survival, that is met while the legal, the Siyasi things can be sorted out separately. That has to be the bottom line. But as I said,
and there's one more danger. There's one more danger. If any of us is willing to help, if you want to send some money or whatever, even if the bank's open, like I saw a crowdfunder.co.uk, I got a link. It says urgent appeal for high-risk Afghan women and girls. But Shakti sir, how do we know? How do we know which fundraiser is genuine and which is not?
Now, somebody who knows Ehsaas, supposing for years, can send money to Ehsaas. People know Medicine Sans Frontier, to Dr. Farhat will have access to funding. But some of the smaller ones will definitely have. And in these circumstances, terrible human beings that we are, we will create fraud structures for cheating people. So people have to be really careful in whom they are giving money to. It will never reach Afghanistan, right? And that is a real fear. So therefore, go for the trusted, somebody you know. There's not a moment for anybody to start an initiative. There are enough bodies existing on the ground. Try to, once things are a little clearer, not completely, can we start sending resources to them and what manner? Absolutely.
जी, और हम तो यही दुआ करेंगे कि जल्द से जल्द कोई ऐसा रास्ता निकले कि अफगानिस्तान के लोगों की मुसीबतें कम होना शुरू हो और दुनिया भर से लोग उनकी मदद के लिए आगे आ पाए. I need to close the show right now, but as always, I would want to give you all one closing statement. Whatever message you want to give to our all our Indian viewers who are watching you. We'll start with Mahbouba ji.
I really, apart from thanking everybody for you and your show, you really were thinking about a very good topic. I just want everybody to be watchful and to also be careful. Don't give your money to the hands of the people that they are these sharks and they will take advantage of you. Don't do that, because that's going to be, upsetting for you. It's going to be upsetting for us, and if it doesn't get to the hands of the people who really are honest and they really are putting it in the right use, then don't give it to anybody. That's the best way. Unless you're 100% sure, don't do it. That's my sake.
Okay, Hamid, do you need support? But how do we support you? We don't know. There's no way, no channel. What do you want to say?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The signal is really bad.
Hamid, I wanted to give you a closing statement, but I wanted to say that we know that you and your organization need support, but right now there's no way that we can support you. So what do you want to say?
Right. Well, considering the limited resource situation we are having in Afghanistan, we are doing our best to reach as many people as possible, and I would like to the international community, whoever watching this, please do your bit, and the Afghan people, don't let the Afghan people alone. They need your help. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Dr. Farhat?
My words for everybody would be that because it's a humanitarian crisis, and as we have seen in many humanitarian crises and emergency situations around the world, the attention of the global community is very short-lived. So I would like every one of us to be reminded what Mahbouba ji said. Don't look at today. Talk about us in a month's time, in 2 months' time, when things are a bit more clearer. So I would say keep the attention on what is going on in Afghanistan. We are only working in 5 provinces. I can just imagine the health needs that would come across from the rest of the Afghanistan. So please keep your attention on the problem in Afghanistan, not only today, but please keep on talking about it, keep this discourse going on so that more and more people know what is the best way to help our Afghan nationals. Thank you.
Thank you. Shakti sir?
I completely agree. We have to feel and understand the Ehsaas is बहुत ज़रूरी है. Ehsaas के मगर we have to continue it and not just feel of the day and forget about it tomorrow.
Sure.
Because especially of course, the entire country is in trouble. But just listening to doctor just now, if you are in a town, say like Nili in Daikunde or somewhere in Khor, you don't get a doctor very easily. So it's all the more reason for us to understand how critical the situation is and how we shouldn't keep up the pressure, build up the momentum, build support across people so that they realize that this is something that has to be faced and must be faced with all of us.
Sure. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us in this very important conversation, क्योंकि बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम लोग दहशत की तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं और मैंने जैसे पहले भी कहा दिल दहलाने वाली तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं हमें अपनी भूमिका भी उसमें देखनी होगी. और जैसा कि महबूबा जी ने पहले भी जब हमारे शो पर आई थी कहा था कि आप आज की बात मत कीजिए, नजर रखिए, हम पर नजर बनाए रखिए. 3 महीने बाद क्या होगा, 6 महीने बाद क्या होगा. तो मुझे लगता है जैसा शक्ति सर ने भी कहा कि जरूरत है कि इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी जो है, डॉक्टर फरहत ने भी कहा कि अफगानिस्तान के लोगों का साथ ना छोड़े. पॉलिटिकली जो भी होता रहेगा, बट कहीं ना कहीं जिस भी तरह से वी नीड टू स्टैंड इन सॉलिडारिटी, वी नीड टू सपोर्ट द पीपल ऑफ अफगानिस्तान, एंड प्रॉब्ली few weeks down the line we'll be able to figure out, we'll have a clear picture on how we can extend our support to them. वो चाहे दवाइयों का हो, वो चाहे हेल्थ सपोर्ट हो, किसी भी तरह की ह्यूमैनिटेरियन एड हम कैसे भेज सकते हैं, बाकी देश कैसे भेज सकते हैं, वो स्थिति मुझे लगता है कुछ हफ्तों बाद शायद क्लियर हो, कुछ हफ्ते या कुछ महीने लग सकते हैं. लेकिन तब तक हमें अपनी नजर बनाए रखनी है कि वहां पर कुछ गलत ना हो. वो प्रेशर जो कि जैसे शक्ति सिन्हा जी ने कहा कि तालिबान पर वो दबाव हमेशा बना रहना चाहिए, that the world is watching Afghanistan and the world is watching every step that Taliban takes. That probably is the biggest support that we can extend to that country right now. Thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for watching.